Have you ever sat in absolute silence with someone? No distractions, no small talk, just presence. In those moments, something powerful happens. The mask slips, the carefully crafted words dissolve, and what remains is truth. We live in a world where words are used as shields, where people tell you what they think you want to hear, but silence is a different language altogether. It is in silence that the truth is revealed. Because when you remove the noise, the performance stops. And when the performance stops, people can no longer hide who they truly are. Their energy speaks louder than their words ever could. Think about it. Have you ever felt uneasy around someone without them saying a word? That's because energy never lies. The unspoken carries more weight than the spoken. A person's intentions, their real nature, it's always there, in the pauses, in the stillness, in the moments where nothing is said but everything is felt. And yet we often miss this because we are too busy reacting, too busy filling the gaps with words. But when you step back, when you observe instead of engage, you start to see clearly. Some people radiate peace and some radiate chaos. Some are grounded in integrity, while others wear a mask of kindness that crumbles in stillness. But here's the secret. The more silence you cultivate within yourself, the more clearly you see others. Self-awareness is the mirror through which you recognize authenticity or the lack of it in those around you. And once you see, you can never unsee. But that doesn't mean you judge. It means you become discerning. You no longer get lost in illusions. You detach with wisdom. You understand that not everyone is who they pretend to be. So the next time you wonder about someone's true nature, don't listen to their words. Watch them in silence. Observe who they are when there's nothing left to hide behind. Because in that space, beyond the noise, the truth is always revealed. Silence is the great revealer. It strips away the layers people build around themselves, the practiced words, the well-crafted responses, the rehearsed charm. In the absence of noise, what remains is raw and unfiltered. We often assume that people show us who they are through their words, but words can be carefully selected, manipulated, and rehearsed. People can tell you what they think you want to hear. They can mask their insecurities with confidence, hide their fears behind humor, and disguise their true feelings with politeness. But silence is pure. It offers no place to hide. Have you ever sat in a room with someone and felt the energy shift without a single word spoken? That's because silence doesn't just reveal what a person says. It reveals what they truly are. You begin to notice the subtle expressions, the restless movements, the way their energy fills or drains a space. Someone who is genuine remains consistent in silence, while someone who wears a mask begins to unravel. This is why silence is so powerful. It is a truth detector. It exposes sincerity and deceit alike. When people are no longer performing for an audience, their real nature emerges. The kind-hearted remain kind, even when there is no one to impress. The envious can no longer suppress their discomfort when they think no one is watching. The arrogant reveal their discomfort in moments where they are not the center of attention. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence. It allows you to see without the distractions of words, and in that stillness, authenticity becomes unmistakable. When you cultivate the ability to sit in silence, both with yourself and with others, you begin to perceive the world differently. You stop relying on what people say and start paying attention to what they show. And what they show in silence is often the most honest reflection of who they truly are. In the stillness, everything that is artificial begins to fall away. People spend so much of their lives curating an image, shaping how they are perceived. adjusting their words and actions to fit a narrative they want others to believe. But stillness doesn't allow for performance. It doesn't offer the distractions of movement, conversation, or external validation. It simply exists, like a mirror reflecting what is real. Think about the moments when you've been completely still with someone. No conversation to fill the space, no obligations to act a certain way, just presence. In those moments, the carefully constructed mask begins to crack. Without the need to respond or impress, people unconsciously reveal themselves. You see whether their energy is peaceful or restless, whether they are comfortable in their own skin or desperately seeking escape. A person who operates from truth remains the same in stillness, while one who relies on external validation starts to shift, fidget, or become uneasy. Stillness creates a gap between who people pretend to be and who they actually are. It disrupts the automatic patterns of performance. When someone is constantly talking, constantly in motion, they can maintain a certain illusion. But in the quiet, when there is no external stimulus to keep up the act, their true nature rises to the surface. You can sense when someone's kindness is genuine or merely a tactic. You can feel when someone's confidence is real or just a shield for deep insecurity. Most people are uncomfortable with stillness because it forces them to confront themselves. It removes the distractions they use to avoid their own truth. That's why those who are deeply at peace, who have nothing to prove, nothing to hide, are the ones who can sit in stillness without discomfort. But those who wear a mask, who rely on external validation, begin to fidget, shift, or grasp for something, anything, to break the silence. When you learn to embrace stillness, both in yourself and in observing others, you gain a powerful awareness. You stop being deceived by appearances. You start seeing people for who they are, not who they pretend to be. Because stillness doesn't lie. It only reveals. Energy is the most honest language in existence. It cannot be masked, manipulated, or concealed by words. While people can craft the perfect sentences, wear the right expressions, and behave in ways that seem convincing, their energy always tells the truth. It speaks louder than anything they say because it is not something they consciously control. It is simply what they are. Have you ever met someone who smiled, spoke kindly, and said all the right things, yet something about them felt off? Or walked into a room and immediately sensed tension without anyone saying a word? That's because energy never lies. You don't need an explanation to feel when someone's presence is heavy with negativity, just as you don't need words to recognize the calm and grounded nature of a truly peaceful person. You just know. This is why you can't fake authenticity. You can say you're happy, but if your energy radiates anxiety or resentment, people will feel it. You can act supportive, but if jealousy lingers beneath the surface, it will reveal itself in subtle ways. People may not always be able to articulate why, but they will sense the contradiction between your words and your energy. The most powerful people in the world are not those who speak the loudest, but those whose presence speaks for them. They do not need to convince you of who they are because you can feel it. Their energy carries certainty, alignment, and truth. They are at peace within themselves, and that peace emanates outward. In contrast, those who live in inner conflict project that conflict, no matter how polished their words may be. Tuning into energy allows you to see the world as it truly is. You stop being deceived by appearances and start recognizing the unspoken reality behind every interaction. This is why silence and stillness are so powerful. When you remove distractions, when you stop focusing on words alone, energy becomes unmistakable. And once you learn to read it, you will never be misled by illusions again. Most people go through life reacting to words, reacting to situations, reacting to the emotions of others. They engage immediately, taking everything at face value, assuming that what is being presented to them is the whole truth. But real awareness comes not from reacting, but from observing. When you shift from reaction to observation, you begin to see what is actually happening, rather than just what is being shown to you. Reactivity is impulsive. It is driven by emotion, by conditioning, by the immediate urge to respond. When someone says something, most people feel the need to reply right away. When a situation arises, they instinctively judge it as good or bad, right or wrong, without pausing to truly see what is beneath the surface. But when you step back and observe instead of immediately engaging, you gain clarity. You begin to notice patterns, inconsistencies, and unspoken truths that are easily missed in the rush of reaction. Have you ever watched two people interact and sensed an underlying tension that neither of them acknowledged? Or noticed how someone's words didn't quite match their tone, their posture, or their energy? These details are always there, but they are only visible to those who are paying attention. Reacting keeps you entangled in the surface-level illusion. Observing allows you to see beyond it. This is especially powerful when dealing with people. Those who deceive, manipulate, or hide their true intentions rely on others being reactive. They depend on your automatic responses, on your need to engage immediately without question. But when you simply watch, when you give them space to reveal themselves rather than getting caught up in their words, their true nature becomes clear. The truth is always present. It's just that most people don't slow down enough to notice it. Observation is power. It allows you to act with intention rather than impulse. It gives you the ability to see people as they are, not just as they present themselves. It removes you from the chaos of mindless reaction and places you in the clarity of awareness. And in that awareness, you are no longer fooled by illusions. You see reality as it is. Self-awareness is the lens through which we perceive the world. It is the mirror that reflects not only who we are, but also how we interpret and interact with others. The more we understand ourselves, our emotions, our triggers, our biases, the clearer we see everything around us. Without self-awareness, perception is distorted. We project our own fears, insecurities, and desires onto others, mistaking them for truth. But when we cultivate deep self-awareness, we begin to see people and situations as they truly are, rather than through the filter of our own unresolved emotions. Have you ever noticed that the same situation can elicit completely different reactions from different people? One person might see an act of kindness as genuine, while another sees it as manipulation. One person might perceive silence as peace, while another sees it as rejection. The difference isn't in the external event, it's in the internal world of the observer. People don't see things as they are. They see things as they are. Their own conditioning, past experiences, and emotional wounds color everything they encounter. This is why self-awareness is so critical. When you are deeply aware of your own patterns, you stop projecting them onto others. You recognize when your reaction is coming from an old wound rather than the present moment. You see when your perception is being influenced by past experiences rather than reality. And most importantly, you become less susceptible to illusions, because the more clearly you see yourself, the more clearly you see others. Self-awareness also sharpens your ability to read people. If you are disconnected from yourself, you will misread others. But when you are in tune with your own emotions, energy, and intentions, you naturally develop the ability to sense these things in others. You no longer take everything at face value because you understand how deeply hidden motives can be. You see when someone's words don't align with their energy. You feel when someone's kindness is conditional. You recognize when someone's confidence is a mask for insecurity. When you develop true self-awareness, you move through life with clarity. You stop being easily deceived, not because you are suspicious, but because you are present. You become a mirror, not only reflecting your own truth, but also revealing the truth of everything and everyone around you. And in that state of deep awareness, nothing remains hidden for long. Growth is not just about gaining more. It is often about letting go. Conscious detachment is the art of stepping back, observing without attachment, and allowing things to reveal themselves as they are, rather than how we want them to be. It is the ability to release control, to stop grasping, and to trust that truth does not need force to exist. When we detach, we do not become indifferent. We become clear. We stop reacting emotionally to every shift in our environment and instead begin to see things with precision, wisdom, and understanding. Most suffering comes from attachment to ideas, people, expectations, and illusions. When we are attached, we resist change, and in that resistance we create struggle. We hold on to people who have already shown us their true colors because we don't want to accept what we see. We try to force situations to align with our desires rather than allowing them to unfold naturally. But attachment clouds judgment. It keeps us entangled in illusions, making it difficult to see what is real. Conscious detachment is the opposite. It is not coldness, nor is it avoidance. It is a deep trust in reality as it is. It means being fully present, fully engaged, but not imprisoned by emotions or expectations. It allows you to see people and situations clearly because you are no longer distorting them through the lens of your personal desires or fears. You no longer take things personally because you understand that most people's actions are a reflection of themselves, not of you. When you practice conscious detachment, you free yourself from the need to control outcomes. You stop chasing after people who show inconsistency. You stop holding on to relationships or situations that no longer align with your growth. You let people be who they are, and you let truth reveal itself without force. And in doing so, you make space for genuine connections, real understanding, and personal evolution. The highest form of wisdom is knowing when to engage and when to step back, when to fight for something, and when to release it. Growth happens when you learn to detach, not from love, not from purpose, but from illusion. And when you do, you don't lose anything real. You only lose what was never meant to stay. People show their true colors in silence. Have you ever noticed how, in moments of stillness, the truth becomes undeniable? How, when words are stripped away, what remains is pure, unfiltered reality? In a world full of noise, performance, and carefully curated images, silence is the great revealer. It is in silence that people show you who they truly are, not through what they say, but through what they cannot hide. We live in a time where words are used as masks. People tell you what they think you want to hear. They smile when they don't mean it. They offer kindness laced with expectation. But silence? Silence is honest. It removes the performance, leaving only energy, intention, and truth. And if you pay attention, you will see that what remains is far more revealing than any words could ever be. When you sit with someone in stillness, without the distractions of conversation or obligation, you begin to see them for who they really are. A person who is at peace will feel calm even in silence. A person who thrives on validation will fidget, shift, and seek a way to regain control. A person who is genuine will be the same with or without an audience, while a person who is pretending will struggle to maintain their facade when there is no one left to impress. Stillness strips away masks, exposing what has always been there beneath the surface. And if you ever doubt what you're perceiving, remember this. Energy never lies. People can manipulate words, but they cannot manipulate the frequency they carry. You can feel when someone's presence is warm, and you can feel when it is heavy. You can sense when their kindness is sincere and when it is transactional. Most people ignore these signals, dismissing them as paranoia or overthinking. But the truth is, the body recognizes deception before the mind does. It is not your imagination. It is your intuition reminding you to trust what you feel. The key to seeing clearly is observation over reaction. When you resist the urge to immediately respond, defend, or explain, you give yourself space to simply watch. And in watching, you notice everything. The subtle shifts in behavior, the small inconsistencies, the way people reveal themselves when they believe no one is paying attention. People who lack authenticity rely on others being too distracted to notice, but when you slow down, when you step back, the truth becomes undeniable. And yet, the ability to see others clearly is only possible when you have first seen yourself. Self-awareness is the mirror that sharpens perception. If you are unaware of your own fears, wounds, and biases, they will cloud your judgment. You will mistake manipulation for love, guilt for loyalty, and illusion for truth. But when you cultivate deep self-awareness, you stop projecting, stop assuming, and start recognizing. You see things as they are, not as you want them to be, and in that clarity, the truth of others becomes unmistakable. But perhaps the greatest tool of all is conscious detachment. To see clearly, you must release attachment to the outcome. When you want something to be true, you will overlook the signs that it isn't. When you need someone to be good, you will excuse the ways in which they are not. Growth comes when you learn to let go, not from a place of coldness, but from a place of wisdom. To love people without illusions, to trust your intuition without needing proof, to accept what is rather than holding on to what you wish it could be. Because in the end, people always reveal themselves, not in their words, not in their promises, but in the silence, in the pauses between conversations, in the moments when they think no one is watching, in the way they treat you when they have nothing to gain. If you listen closely, not just with your ears, but with your intuition, you will realize that the truth is never hidden. It has been there all along, waiting for you to see it.